In this third video, we're going to take a look at adding radicals. So going back to just Algebra 1, where we had 2x plus 3x, the way it was originally explained was that these x's are going to get factored out, GCF, and I'm left with 2 plus 3, and 2 plus 3 is 5x. So 2x plus 3x is 5x. So we do that really without thinking. 2x plus 3y will not combine because I can't factor out a GCF there to make them combine together. So we learned in Algebra 1 that we can only combine like terms. So like radicals are radicals with the same index and the same radicand. Exactly. So we're going to look for that when we add them. So here, the radical here is the square root of 5 and the square root of 5. So again, I can factor that square root of 5 out. When I remove it, that leaves me with 2 plus 3, and so this is going to be 5, and then radical 5 when we do that. So very simply, if I've got the same radical, it's like adding the coefficients. 2 plus 5 gives me 7, radical 6. Now don't be tempted. I mean, it's not quite as tempting when you got 2x plus 3x to say 5x. But it's really tempting probably to say 6 plus 6 is 12. But you're not doing it because what's happening is that's being factored out and we're just adding the coefficients. So add the coefficients is what you're doing. And you're going to keep the radical the same. The same thing as when you add fractions. You keep that denominator the same. So here I'm going to look. Let's see, I have a square root of 10x, a square root 10x, they're all alike. I can just kind of add them across. I have 3, subtract 4, that's negative 1. Negative 1 minus 5 is negative 6. And that is the square root of 10x's. And then C, this time you can see I have a cube root of 2 and a cube root of 2. But this one on the front is different because it's a square root. So I cannot combine it. So it is going to have to stand alone there. And then I'm going to say 7 subtract 3 is going to be a positive 4 cube root of 2. All right. Then before trying to add, you always want to check to see if any of the radicals need to be simplified. So here, a square root of 20 and a square root of 45 are not like radicals. But if I simplified 20, which is what, 4 and 5, it's going to simplify to 2 radical 5. And 45, which is 9 times 5, so it's 3 radical 5. So now I've got like radicals, and I can subtract 2 minus 3 and get a negative 1, which I don't write, radical 5. B, I've got 3 square root of 18, and 18, which is 9 times 2, would be, that would be 3 radical 2. And so this 3 and that 3 are going to multiply to be 9 radical 2. Minus 6, 50 is 25 times 2. So that square root of 25 is 5, and I'm left with a 2. So 6 times 5 is 30 radical 2. So now I have like radicals, so 9 minus 30 is a negative 21 radical 2. C, I have cube roots. So again, you want to bring back up, if you're not sure about those, cube roots. I have 81, which is perfect, isn't it? So no, that's a fourth root, perfect fourth root. So this has got a 27 in it. So 27 times 3 is going to give me 81. So I'm going to have 2. And then the cube root of 81, I'm thinking of 27 times 3. So the cube root of 27 is 3. And then I'm left with a cube root of 3 inside. Then I have minus 3. And then 24, when you look on your list, for 24, 8 goes into it. So that's going to be, 24 is going to be, I'll put it here, 8 times 3. So the cube root of 8 is 2, and then I have left the cube root of 3. So then that is 6 cube root of 3 minus 6 cube root of 3, and that is actually a 0. And then finally, this last one, D, the fifth root of 5 times the third root of 16, and so 8 will go into it. That's a cube root. So remember, I want cube roots. So 8 times 2, so that's going to be a 5. The cube root of 8 is 2. Then I'm left with the cube root of this 2 minus 128. Again, look at your list for 128. Looks like 64. We'll go into it 2 times. So this is going to be a 64 times 2. So the cube root of 64 was 4. Cube root of 2. So that's 10 cube root of 2 minus 4 cube root of 2, and that's going to be 6 cube root of 2. You got to pay attention to the indices now. We don't just have square roots. We got cube roots and fourth roots as well. So give a try at E and F.